This is the grand finals of Smash 4's last appearance on the EVO main stage. There she is, and there she is again. Charging bullets, and charging, and charging. For a lot of people, this is the lasting image of Smash 4. A meta where the game was taken over by Bayonetta. Whether it was the newer players like Lima, or the longtime veterans like Tweak and even MKLeo, it felt like every time you pulled up to a tournament or every time you tuned into a stream, there she was. And it didn't just feel like it. The numbers back it up. EVO 2018 happened during the last season of Smash 4's tournaments before Ultimate's release. Thanks to Smash statistician Easy Freezy, one of Lumirex creators, we have the data. In the PGR V5 season that had just completed in July 2018, Bayonetta had finally built separation from the rest of Smash 4's top tiers. After coming out in a state that was probably the strongest Smash character of all time, she was nerfed to be a bit more reasonable in the game's final balance patch, 1.1.6, around mid-2016. After a relatively slow start, Bayo rocketed to number 1 in her second season in the game and stayed there for a full year. Fellow DLC scourge Cloud and OG top tiers Sheik and Diddy Kong remained very close throughout 2017, even as Salem won EVO 2017 with Bayonetta, dethroning Zero at EVO for the first time in Smash 4's history. That set was a turning point to be sure. The ridiculous highlight finish of that set stuck in so many people's minds. A high monkey flip got caught, and Bayonetta took the monkey to the moon. It doesn't particularly matter that these high monkey flips characterize a lot of Zero's losses, to characters much weaker than Bayonetta at that. Anyone remember a guy by the name of Prince Ramen? Still, a win like that over the game's best player on the game's biggest stage proved to any lingering doubters that even Bayonetta's nerf form was the best character in the game. And then, the finishing blow. Smash Ultimate was announced in March 2018. With little reason left to push the meta in what everybody knew would be Smash 4's final season, many decided to play the game's obvious top 1 character. And a lot of those who didn't made the choice to take a break or play something else until Ultimate rolled around. The result was Bayo's most dominant 6-month period yet. Not only did she win her second straight EVO, she pushed her share of top major placements up to a ridiculous 13.6%. Now, what does that number actually mean? Technically speaking, about 1 in every 7 top placements at Smash 4 majors in the last season of the game came from a Bayonetta player. The next closest was Cloud, just at 7.6%. Honestly, both of those numbers are ridiculously high when you consider that Smash 4 had 58 characters, and thus the average character makes up less than 2% of placements. The fact that Bayo was appearing nearly twice as much as Cloud says a lot about how dominant she really was. But this number by itself doesn't tell you everything. Steve just hit a lifetime high placement percentage in the data for the second half of 2023, recently released by Easy Freezy, 4.39. That is all the way down here. Steve is a ridiculous character, there's no question about it. But you're only as likely to see him in the top cut of a major bracket as Smash 4 players were to run into a Zero Suit Samus late in brackets in the Bayo-dominated late 2018. Late Smash 4 Bayonetta, she was about 3 times as likely to appear in late brackets as Steve was in late 2023. I want new Ultimate players to really sit with that one for a second. Think about what your brackets could really be like. You know, guys, sometimes I just feel like breaking through. You know how I'm gonna break through? With these bad boys. This right here is the Alienware Pro Wireless Mouse and Alienware Pro Wireless Keyboard. These right here are the best in the business. I'm gonna use these. It's gonna be great, especially this guy. Lots of clicks. But funnily enough, neither of them was as dominant by the numbers as the first ruler of the Smash 4 metagame, a character that is remembered much more fondly, Sheik. Smash 4's first competitive season actually spanned about 18 months, beginning with Apex 2015 in February of that year. But because it took some time for the game to build momentum, that incredibly long season still included a similar number of events to most of the 6-month periods that followed. The game changed quite a bit through these 18 months. All the DLC characters came out in this time span, and a number of patches tweaked system mechanics in big ways. There was an early period where Diddy Kong dominated, but once the early dust settled, Sheik was the most common pick in late brackets, and by a wide margin. At 14.8%, her placement percentage for the first season is the highest easy freezy recorded. It's safe to say Smash 4 Bayonetta is not exactly a beloved character. But why didn't early Smash 4 Sheik receive the same treatment? At the 6 biggest tournaments of the PGVR1 season, Sheik made up 12 of a possible 48 top 8 placements, while also winning half of these events. That is pretty impressive. Maybe the most striking data point in this graph, though, that will be the 7th place at SmashCon 2015 from DK Will. That's a man who went blow for blow with some of the best Brawl players to ever do it with Donkey Kong, a character who was maybe as bad as he's ever been in that game. He played DK for most of SmashCon 2015, and he will play DK for most of his competitive Smash 4 career, and continues to play DK in Ultimate today. It makes sense, the man's name is Donkey Kong William, after all. The point of all that is, it says something when you see this on the screen. That's DK Will playing Sheik in his loser's match to qualify for top 8. That is how you know a character is good. That, and they win half of the biggest tournaments in a season. So, how does Bayo measure up to this? This right here explains most of the spectators' distaste for Bayo. In the final year of the game, you really could not turn on a top 8 and avoid her. The real problem is these top 4s. Even as Sheik was dominating, only 2 tournaments had even 2 Sheiks in the top 4. Of the 6 biggest tournaments of 2018, only Hyrule Saga had 1 Bayo in top 4, and half of them had a whopping 3 Bayonettas. Bayonetta made up 14 of 24 possible top 4 spots in these tournaments, a ridiculous 58%. This is kind of the problem Ultimate was running into with recent top 4s that are overloaded with runaway, uninteractive characters in the top 4, like Steve, Sonic, and Mr. Game & Watch. But at least those are 3 different characters. As hard as it was to watch Bayonetta run over characters in 7-3 matchups or worse, the Ditto was almost as hard to watch. Think back to that EVO 2018 set. Obviously, there was more than just gameplay behind the decision to charge bullets. Many people forgot about the whole concept of keeping character hate to the character. While they were winning in 2017 and 2018, Lima and Captain Zack were just 2 of the many Bayo mains who were subject to constant hate and even blatant homophobia from crowds and the online scene. Some people decided that just because their hatred of Bayonetta was righteous, that nothing was off the table. Lines were crossed multiple times and a lot of people embarrassed themselves. So yes, the bullet charge was absolutely a sign of disrespect from the players, but it was disrespect to an audience that had refused to show them the same respect for well over a year by that point.
Rough older Banana, he was so far away, it does not seem to matter the role, but it was which time he had all the time in the world to get that. That is so unfortunate, and here it is.
The thing is, it's not like this was the only place where you'd see long, drawn-out standouts between 2 Bayonettas. It usually didn't get this extreme, but the matchup incentivized this kind of play in the worst ways. Thanks to her ridiculously broken air dodge mechanic known as Bats Within, a number of Bayonetta's useful combo starters were unsafe on hit against herself at lower percents. Her neutral B bullets were one of the only reliable ways to hit another low percent Bayonetta without eating a reversal. And as anybody who's played against high-level Smash 4 Bayonetta knows, that just might cost you your stock. As a result, even if they weren't charging bullets across the stage from each other for a full minute, a lot of Bayonetta Dittos were very, very slow as a result. Often enough, it just wasn't worth swinging at all. The nerf patch added counterplay to Bayonetta's combo game by increasing SDI multipliers, taking away insane guaranteed roof combos off of massive save moves like downwards afterburner kick and forwarder. The problem was, even your SDI could be red, and there was almost never a guaranteed way out of Bayonetta's offense. SDIing didn't save you, it merely let you start playing the game. This might have been okay if it wasn't for Bayonetta's absolutely insane defense. In a move loaded with aerials that are significantly negative on shield, her frame 8 witch twist out of shield basically eliminated the concept of shield pressure from the entire game. Touch that shield and you're already on the ride. Her ability to triple jump and retain her double jump if she jumps and up Bs on the same frame meant that she had an unparalleled ability to stall offstage. And then there was Witch Time. Oh, Witch Time. Witch Time was a frame 5 counter with 17 active frames. and if you hit her with anything in that time and the Bayonetta was ready, you probably died. At the very least, you took a charge smash attack, but as the meta developed, Bayonetta players developed flashy ways of using witch time stun to set up crazy roof combos or even combos into her down smash, one of the strongest spikes in the game. All of this combined to make it feel like you were never allowed to do anything against her. Players kept trying to find the sick of counterpick. One week it would be Greninja, then it would be Marth, then Corrin, then Game & Watch or something. It was all cope. And by the game's end, the top players realized it and decided their best chance at counterplay was to use Bayonetta herself. Fight fire with fire and do the ditto. Other than that DK Will data point for the Sheiks, those were all mains for the character. Zero, Void, and Neotona. What about the Bayos? Top players who had already achieved top level results with other characters, Tweak with Cloud, MKLeo with Meta Knight and Marth, Abadongo from Mewtwo, were switching to Bayonetta and getting rewarded for it, and that sealed it. The game would end in a Bayonetta meta at the top, even if the down bracket numbers suggested her dominance wasn't much different from Sheik's. It was all Bayonetta where it mattered the most, and when most people were watching. If it weren't for the looming presence of Ultimate on the horizon, there's a good chance a widespread ban movement would have arisen. We can't know what Smash 4 tournaments would have looked like in a world with no Ultimate, but if recent Smash Come results are any indication, it absolutely would have been Bayonetta hell. Another big reason why Bayonetta made so many players despair is, unlike Sheik, there was no hope that a patch was going to come and drag her back to the cast's level. Every set lost to Bayonetta was a reminder that this was your future. It was a reminder that if you wanted to get serious, you had to play one of the few reasonable matchups into her, or pick her up yourself. Or, move on. But you know how Smashers are about moving on. We may truly never know how close we were to seeing Ultimate Bayonetta put up the unprecedented repeat and become the best character in a second straight Smash game. The Bayonetta in demo versions of Ultimate had much more potent combos, and most notably had an up air that looked like it might reliably kill off the top. But then, one hero stepped up and showed everybody, including Sakurai himself watching in the audience, that his version of Bayonetta could not be allowed to see the light of day. Leo versus Plup. There it all was. The ABKs, the double witch twists, the up air off the top. MKLeo showed everybody what this version of Bayonetta could do and why they had to tune her down before release. Also, shout out to Plup for picking a big body in Ridley for Leo to combo. Thank you, buddy. We see your sacrifice. This set was very, very important, and had Leo not decided to go Bayonetta against crowd favorite Ridley, played by crowd favorite Plup, who knows where we'd be right now? Who knows? So much of Bayonetta's kit was nerfed between Smash 4 and Ultimate, but nothing changed when the character played more than the up air nerf. Many of the latter combos from Smash 4 could be performed just like before. And then the up air would harmlessly send the opponent at a flat angle, rarely killing off the top or even at extremely high percents. In early versions of the game, Bayonetta could still rack up damage like few other characters could. Her air-to-air game was still amazing. If you jumped, you were probably eating an ABK. If you were a tall character and dashed at her, you were probably still eating an ABK. And those ABKs would still go into a full combo, often leaving opponents at 100% after a few neutral wins. But so what? How was she supposed to finish it? Her smash attacks were slow, her throws don't kill into high percents, and she lacked reliable kill confirms. The easiest answer in the last game, Witch Time, wasn't such an easy bake answer anymore either. It was absolutely gutted. It was probably the biggest nerf she received apart from up air. Startup went from frame 5, which is insane, to frame 8. Every time it was used, not connected, just used, it would get worse, stunning the opponent for a shorter duration. Finally, one of the biggest complaints from Smash 4 was addressed. The stun timer now scales with the power of the move being used. Throw a smash attack or a strong aerial into the Witch Time and yeah, you're going to eat a big punish. But jabs and other weak attacks would no longer put you in the same stun. Lower risk meant lower reward. Patches have since fixed a few of her problems. Up tilt functions now and offers a strong kill confirm into back air. Jab now KOs at reasonable percents, giving her a decently fast button to threaten KOs from the ground. Those changes, and a few others, have helped her carve out a pretty solid niche in the metagame behind players like Lima, Bloom Forever, Geis, and Tama P. Daifuku. The character can still struggle to kill, but these players have shown she has the damage and mobility to hang with most opponents in the meta. That said, it's pretty clear she's never going to reach the top, much less the level she reigned from in Smash 4. So, why exactly wasn't she banned back then? One answer, pretty clearly, is timing. It's easy to look back in hindsight and say, we knew she was broken from the beginning. But it took 4 PGR seasons for her to pull away from Cloud, Diddy, Sheik, and the rest of the pack. And it took even more time for the top players like Tweak and MKLeo to pick her up and bring about the Bayopocalypse in Smash 4's final 6 months. You can only have so many majors with 3 Bayonettas in the top 4 before people start asking questions. But the question anybody really cared about in 2018 was, how long until Ultimate comes out? So, for that reason, it seems like a mistake for Ultimate TOs to let Smash 4's history determine what should be done with Steve. Ultimate is now older than Smash 4 was when Ultimate released, which is crazy to think about. Ultimate has been in its finals patch state for about as long as Smash 4 was before Ultimate dethroned it. And this time, there is no next game on the immediate horizon. That's a huge factor in how the whole Bayonetta saga played out. It's why Steve shouldn't necessarily be treated the same. Even if we haven't yet reached the stage where, top players are switching to him to flood all the top 8 brackets. That's so cool. Oh, shit. Anyways, guys, this was story time with HBox. I'm glad you hopefully learned a thing or two about the history of Bayonetta in Smash 4, Steve in the current meta, and how it might shape the future of Smash to come, especially in rule sets and how we see the game. Let me know your comments below. Let me know what stories you might have about these characters. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.